becoming a global citizen doesn't just mean to become aware of other countries and of global issues. It also means that one should take responsibility for understanding this interconnectedness and have an awareness about the interconnectedness of the world and the problems that we see globally. And finally, to act upon it. So it's awareness, responsibility, and acting upon it.
I'm originally Palestinian. I'm Palestinian Jordanian, and I'm technically a third-generation refugee. So it was, it was a challenge, and at the same time, it was very interesting to kind of try and balance that out with, your ambitions and what you can and can't do. I'm part of the Learner's Voice program also here at WISE, which is a great program. I'm one of the learners from last year, actually, and I'm glad to be here again. And I think, global citizenship is not exactly, it's not a topic that is kind of like on the side. I'm truly, I'm a firm believer that it goes into everything that we do. So, I mean, the theoretical background, the tools, the making the individual aware of what's actually out there plays a huge role. So whether you're a third-generation refugee or whether you're, you come from a very high-class social status and in a very stable country, I think it does make a difference, or it does play a role, but it's not definitive in that sense.
Falling back on my training as an economist, everybody likes to quote Adam Smith, and everybody has heard in some way or another of The Wealth of Nations. Not as many people have heard of another book that he wrote, namely The Theory of Moral Sentiments. And so hundreds of years ago, when he wrote that book, he identified something that people might not like to use as a word in this discussion, but I'm going to use it anyway, and it's empathy. Adam Smith, in his Theory of Moral Sentiment, wrote that it is really difficult for people to feel empathy for something that happens thousands of miles away, to people that you have never met and likely will never meet. And so, in answer to your question, in my mind, and it's part of what we emphasize in our curriculum for the 3-year experiential learning experience that our fellows go through, empathy is very important. Not just being aware of these issues, these global issues, but giving people the opportunity to also try to learn about what it means when difficult situations happen to other people, and going to these places and giving them the space and the resources to develop projects to assist people in these difficult situations around the world.
I think having the very balance between being deeply rooted in your origin and having that commitment to where you come from and the awareness of your surroundings, and then on the other side, the awareness of the global stage and knowing how to approach trends like globalization or like a world, like a global scale capitalist system. I think that very balance is what almost defines an ideal global citizen.
So you describe it as a balance. Another way to think about it is a constant struggle, right? A dialectic. We're struggling with two types of identities, both of which are authentic. When it comes to the crunch, when we have to make a decision between acting in the interest of our community or where we are authentically rooted versus some other moral community that we belong to globally or regionally, whatever it is, how do we negotiate those kinds of balances? Is that a skill for the 21st century citizen? No.
And when I think about, for instance, developments in Europe, where we see a growing nationalism and even ultra-nationalism and anti-European attitude, is it not dangerous only to concentrate on elitist education of the best students and to look not more into a more general approach, how to create these sort of capacities you were mentioning among a broader group in society?
I think one of the biggest challenges with developing curriculum that promotes global citizenship is the dearth of assessments in that area. In the United States, and in other places around the world, of course, we're really focused on curriculum that's driven towards things that are going to be tested and assessed. And so because there are no sort of global assessments or very powerful, very useful assessment tools in this area, we tend to not focus on them. And I'm definitely not saying that I think we should have more assessments in schools, and particularly more standardized assessments. But I think if we want to revolutionize the way that we do global education in our schools, we need to figure out how to measure it and then move towards that.
When people work together based on their talents, they share information, they go looking to the other side of the world, and that's where the real citizenship happens, from within, not on budgets. And what I see today is if educational systems should change, so they build an education system where children can find their talents, learn their talents, build what I call a competence playlist, then they will interconnect with the whole world. So there isn't a problem.
In this area of the world, the kind of educational curriculums, first of all, focus on your mathematical intelligence and linguistic. It completely ignores the concept of multiple intelligences. Right now, after this, there's a talk on STEM, and it completely ignores the A that's been recently integrated, STEAM, and A stands for the arts. And I think it's very important to shed enough light on that, because it's, whether it be that helps us kind of address the intelligences the way we're supposed to.
Citizenship, universal citizenship, the idea is much older than national citizenship. Socrates was a citizen of the universe. And what we have today is global citizenship 2.0 with all the interconnectedness that the other gentleman mentioned. Maybe the step is from this global citizenship 2.0 to global governance 2.0. If you instill this idea of global citizenship in more people, make them more aware across the world, maybe there is a greater will to then also address global problems with global institutions. That's what we can hope for, and that's what we can work for, one step at a time.